Hi everybody, happy Memorial Day weekend. I wanted to step up my plants today, my flower pots, and start putting flowers in pots. And I'm doing so on a budget. I know that potting soil mix is pretty expensive and I don't have a lot of money, so I want to do it on a budget. So that is what I'm doing, and I have this little secret to share with you if you want to do it in a very inexpensive way as well. What I like to do is, first off, realize that this entire bucket does not need to be full of soil in order to have petunias in it. Petunias do not need this much soil. So, something that I have learned throughout the years is you can fill these buckets with something that's super light and it's less heavy, has proper drainage, and you can still grow your flowers. One of the tricks that I do is I take a bucket, but I also take a bucket that I had a flower in and I flip it upside down and I put it in there, and it takes up as space filler. Still drainage can get out of the bucket and it takes up half the space. I can fill soil here on the top and put my flowers in the top. Another thing that I use is this styrofoam stuff. I collect this stuff throughout the year and I put it in the bucket at least halfway up, and then I go to the dollar store and get weed fabric. This is only $1. It's a 4x8 sheet. I cut this up into pieces and I use this over the top to make a little nesting for the soil that I put in there. That way soil doesn't get down into the nooks and the crannies of the styrofoam. It stays in the fabric and it still drains, yet I still have this much soil in there. 4 or 5 inches of soil is perfectly fine to grow some annuals, marigolds, petunias, violets, violas, coleus, stuff like that. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. You have to excuse all of the loudness around my neighborhood. I'm just surprised somebody's not mowing the lawn right next to me today. Happy Memorial Weekend, and let's get this project started. I'm going to cut up some styrofoam right now. Hold on. Okay, well, I have my styrofoam cut up in there. It's about right to this level right here. And now I'm going to lay the fabric in there. And this is the remnants of a sheet that I've used all day to fill the rest of my buckets. And I lay the fabric in here. And I just push down the fabric. And then I'm going to start filling it here with some soil. Now my potting mix that I use is a potting mix. And then I also use peat to fill it. Because you need proper drainage for your flowers. You don't want it to hold a ton of water. And you want it to be able to drain really well. So I mix potting mix with a little bit of peat. And one bag of potting mix, Miracle-Gro potting mix, is usually about $12 or $14 if you get the big one. Well, this is eliminating you having to spend that much money on that many pots or bags of soil, because you're spreading it out over all these buckets with filler in the bottom. You don't have to fill the whole dang pot. You don't need to fill the whole entire pot. There. A little bit more. Now, I have the dirt in my bucket. And look, nice and light. So if I want to move it around the yard, move it to mow the yard, whatever I need to do, I can move it around. But at least it's only about 3/4 of the way, or halfway full. And now what I do is I take the scissors and I trim around the edges to get the rest of that fabric off of there, because nobody wants to look at that. What else do I use? Last year I didn't have any of the styrofoam. So what I did for some of my larger buckets, I used empty bottles. You can fill up a big pot or a little pot with some empty bottles and do exactly what I'm doing, like I'm doing here with the styrofoam. You just need something that's light and something that takes up space. And that's exactly what I found out that I could do with that styrofoam. So, there we go. Now this bucket is ready to plant some flowers. So I'm going to put that one to the side. I also use an upside down bucket inside a planter bucket, just like this. And same thing, but I will use a little bit of filler around the edges which will be these popcornies. I have tried these popcorns to dissolve them in water, and they will not dissolve, so they're definitely water soluble. But I have a whole big huge garbage bag full of them. So open that up, put those popcornies in there, and then take the remnants of my fabric and put that in there so I can put some soil in there. And again, all that this fabric is doing is basically keeping the soil from going down between the gaps of the styrofoam at the bottom, and it's allowing for proper drainage so that there's not water at the bottom of your flower pots, because that's how you can get root rot. And you don't have to fill the entire bucket with potting mix in order to have beautiful flowers throughout the season. Molly, my guard dog. Come here. Hey. Thank you for telling me that somebody's in the yard. She's crazy. There we go. I just filled another one for half the amount of soil that I would have to use if I was to fill the whole entire bucket. And I just wanted to share these little tips with you because I'm a gardener. I love gardening. It does cost money to have a cute garden, but it doesn't need to break the bank. So I'd like to share with you anytime I think of some clever little tricks and tips like that, so that if it can help you save money and have a beautiful garden, then that's what I'm all about. So I hope this information that I shared with you today helps you. I hope that you share it because it is pretty valuable. And now I got to get to planting some of these flowers because it's time to have flowers outside near my garden. Thank you very much for hanging out with me today. Happy Memorial Weekend 2020. And if you have any other tips and tricks that I haven't shared yet, share them with me in the comments below so I can hear what you have to say, or what you have kind of your ideas that you might have. I would love to hear it. I appreciate your time today. I wish you the best of luck in your gardening adventure, and I'll see you in the next video.